Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Hi, I'm Speeder. Okay, it has been a little bit since I have filmed a Keeper of the Books video, but I am back. I plan on posting this today. I tried to film this video earlier this week, but got interrupted, so I procrastinated, but I'm back, and I'm going to film this. I haven't done one of these types of videos in months, but this is the newest episode of the Side Character Tournament. If you haven't seen one of these videos before that I've made, basically how it works is I have two side characters that I like, at least somewhat, from some of my all-time favorite series. And I compare them and decide which one is better. And they will go through several rounds to see which of these 16 side characters is the best one, in my opinion. So I judge them off of 4 different things. First is their importance to the story, because since they're a side character, they at least have to be somewhat important to the story. Whereas the main character is going to be important to the story. Their relationship with the main character, so whether that's a friendship, a rivalry, a romantic relationship, whatever. How good or interesting, at least, is their relationship with the main character? How realistic is the character? And finally, my own personal preference. So in the past, I have done Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter versus Lin Song from Keeper of the Lost Cities. Lin Song won, which is not how I expected that one to go. Dex Disney from Keeper of the Lost Cities versus Fred Weasley from Harry Potter. Dex won. Again, not how I expected that one to go. Nico D'Angelo from Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Heroes of Olympus, and Trials of Apollo versus Annabeth Chase from Percy Jackson and the Olympians and The Heroes of Olympus. Annabeth won, which is how I expected that one to go. However much I love Nico. The next one was Tam Song from Keeper of the Lost Cities versus Biana Vacker from Keeper of the Lost Cities. Wow, I can't speak today apparently. And Biana won that one. And our most recent round was Imogen or something from The Ascendants, which, by the way, I just started The Ascendants Book 5 yesterday after I finished Edge Dancer in one day. That was very good. Versus Keith Sensen from Keeper of the Lost Cities, and Keith won. So this round is Hermione Granger from Harry Potter versus Leo Valdez from The Heroes of Olympus and The Trials of Apollo. So before we get started, let me give you some context about what I know about these characters, as of what content I've consumed they're in. Hermione, I have read all 7 Harry Potter books and seen all 8 movies, though I will not be judging her off of the movies, I will only be judging her off the books. I've also seen a lot of bonus content. I have not seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but I am 100% certain that Hermione has nothing to do with that, or at least 99% certain that she has nothing to do with that, seeing as it's about Newt Scamander, who wrote Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the textbook. As for Leo, I have read the entirety of Heroes of Olympus and the first 3 books of Trials of Apollo. I have not read the last 2. I have also not read the Demigod Files or the Demigod Diaries. So, yeah. That gives you some context about what I know about the characters, especially Leo. That's that. Okay. And at this point, I still, at this moment, do not know who has won this round. I will decide during this video who has won this round. Alright, and at the end of the video, I will give you the next 4 videos that I'm planning on making for each of my channels. Okay, so let's get into it. Sorry about the kind of long intro. Okay, let's start with Hermione. So Hermione's importance to the story. Clearly, she is quite important to the story. If you have read Harry Potter, you know that Hermione is important to the story. She's in all 7 books. She's part of the Golden Trio, so the main characters. She's not the main character, as that is Harry Potter, as is noted in the title. Sorry. Also, if you notice, you can't see my face. I can't actually find the camcorder charger, or else I would be filming with that. But I can't find the charger, and I also can't find the camcorder itself at this point. So that's an issue. I'll fix that eventually, but for now I'm just using the computer to film on all 3 of my channels, whereas I was planning on using the camcorder for this channel, but that didn't happen. At least, not for now. So anyways, continuing, yeah, so she's in all 7 books, part of the main trio, so she's very important to the story. She kind of has a big moment in most of the books. I kind of went over this the first time I tried to film, and I couldn't remember what exactly she did in book 6. I'm sure there was something. But the big things I remember about Hermione from that book is her being upset with Ron. And of course you have this whole scene where she sends the birds at him or something. I don't really remember. I don't really remember a lot about Hermione in the 6th book, honestly, and I feel bad. I haven't read that book in a while. I've read book 1 recently, and I've listened to a Harry Potter podcast called Potterless for a while, which is very good and also over now, unless you count the occasional episode released about a live show or something, because the creator of that has a new podcast about Percy Jackson called The Newest Olympian, which is really good. I would totally recommend it if you're into Percy Jackson. And he also knows nothing about it, unlike in Potterless, where he knew stuff. So if you're reading Percy Jackson for the first time, you could read along with chapters. Read maybe a couple chapters ahead just in case. Read it along with someone. It's kind of like a digital book club. It's really cool. I have read Percy Jackson, as I mentioned, through most of it, not all of it yet. But it's a good podcast. Anyways, yeah, so in book 1, her kind of shining moment is something that's not even in the movies, and that is when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are going after who they think is Snape, but is actually Quirrell, to get the resurrection, to get the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on where you live. And there's a moment, there's a scene where it's a logic puzzle. There are potions. One will allow you to go through fire. 2 will allow you to go through one side of the fire. Some of them are just wines or just normal drinks, and some of them are poisons. And so it's a logic puzzle with a riddle that she has to figure out, and it's a great way to show her character and what she's all about, and the fact that she's the smart one, and her big character development is that she's learning to push boundaries, and she's accepting this breaking of the rules for the greater good thing. Which is pretty good character development, honestly. Book 2, I think her big moment to shine is, well, she gets petrified, but she is able to tell Harry and Ron about the Chamber of Secrets and the Basilisk via a piece of paper that was in her hand when she was petrified. That has the information on it. The fact that it says she was researching in the library, she discovered that the creature is a basilisk. She was able to convey this information to Harry and Ron even when she was petrified. Which was, yeah, it was a good moment to shine. Book 3, This one's difficult to remember. I know she discovers that Lupin was a werewolf pretty early on and everything, but she doesn't tell anyone until the end. Which doesn't super matter as much as the other two because, well, Lupin's still good, despite the fact that he's a werewolf. I'm sure she did something else. 3 and 6 are the ones that I have the hardest time remembering Hermione stuff. I mean, I guess she did bring Crookshanks around, who opened the Whomping Willow for them, but yeah. Anyways, moving on to book 4, I think one of her big moments in that book is she teaches Harry and makes him practice Accio or Accio. I'm not sure. I think it's Accio. And this helps him not only... I know it helps him in the first task, because he summons his fire bolts, which helps him with the dragon. And I can't remember if this part is just in the movies or if it's also in the books, but at least in the movies he also uses it to bring the Triwizard Cup, which is a portkey, to him so he can escape Voldemort. But I don't remember if he uses that there, but there are several times when he uses Accio during the series, and I know one of the ones that's definitely in the books is during the first task. So she was very helpful with that. 5th book, the big one I remember is when she leads Umbridge to the Centaurs and Grop and everything. And this helps get rid of Umbridge for a while. I honestly thought she was dead the first time I read it, but no, she was just severely injured and in the hospital wing. So yeah, that was a pretty big moment to shine because I think we all hate Umbridge, and if you love Umbridge, I am so sorry. So like I said, I can't super remember from the 6th book, but of course in the 7th book, she does a bunch. She's there for Harry and kind of there for Ron, and even though she's kind of moping for a little bit, she's still amazing in this book, and she just shows so much that I can't even pinpoint an exact moment that was her biggest moment to shine. She was just amazing in this book. And of course, she was extremely brave and showed her Gryffindor qualities, especially when having to erase her parents' memory, which must be the most terrifying thing to ever do. So she was very brave in this book. So yes, she's very important to the story. Her relationship with Harry, she's one of Harry's best friends. A lot of people ship her with Harry. I can see it, and I did for a time, but now I'm just Harry and Ginny forever. Honestly. Like, Harry's not super my favorite character, but Ginny is like one of my favorite characters. In fact, she's on this tournament. She'll be next round. Yeah, I just love Ginny. And I also love Hermione. And Harry and Ron aren't my favorite characters, but yeah, I think I prefer Harry to Ron. I'm sorry if you believe differently, but I prefer Harry to Ron all the time, always. I just unintentionally quoted Snape. Okay. Anyways, continuing. Yeah, so she has a pretty good relationship with Harry. They're good friends, and they're usually pretty supportive of each other. Though Harry can be a little bit of a prat. She's gotta put it in that terms. He can sometimes overlook the good that Hermione does for him all the time. And Hermione's just amazing. And yeah. Sorry about that. Keeps clipping. Okay. Yeah, as for realisticness, I think she's pretty realistic, actually. she's a big nerd, and it's awesome. I'm also a nerd, and so I kind of relate to Hermione. She's a good, pretty realistic character who has some great character development. Okay, now it's time, I believe, to move on to Leo. And then after we're done with Leo, we'll compare them and see which one is better. Okay, so importance to the story for Leo. He's pretty important to the story. He's not at all in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And by the way, I'm considering the main character of Percy Jackson, all of them to be Percy, except for Trials of Apollo, which is obviously Apollo. I'm just going to make him as the representation of the main character in Heroes of Olympus because, frankly, there's 7 to 9 main characters in Heroes of Olympus, so I'm just going to single out Percy. So technically, Leo is a main character, so I could talk about his relationship with himself. But anyways, yeah, so he's pretty important to the story. In Blood of Olympus, he sacrifices himself, but he is brought back to life with the is it Physician's Cure, or I swear it's called Physician's Cure, but I'm not exactly sure. Let's look it up. What is Leo brought back to life by Heroes of Olympus? Oh, come on. Yeah, the Physician's Cure. That's right. I was correct. Alright. Yeah, so he's healed by the Physician's Cure, which he gathered the ingredients for and was able to make with the help of, I think it's one of Apollo's sons. I think. Not 100% certain there. But, yeah, he's able to do that, which saves people. He's there to help with things on the Argo, too. He brings Festus to life and creates the Argo, too. He's always there to help Percy and Jason, and he's great. Besides, he's also very hilarious and one of my favorite characters from Heroes of Olympus, along with like Nico and Annabeth and Percy. Yeah, I love Leo, and he is very important to the story in a lot of ways. I am kind of spacing some of them right now. But as for Trials of Apollo, so far he escorted Apollo through book 2, and he was there at the end of book 3. And of course, we have the lineup of people that want to hit him, which is great. But yeah, he's quite important to the story. He also rescues Calypso. Yeah, he does a lot. And he is a vital member of the 7. As for relationship with the main character, so this is Percy and Apollo. With Percy, I don't feel like he has a big relationship with Percy. I mean, I think he respects Percy, but I feel like he has more of a friendship with Jason and Piper than he does with, like, Percy and Annabeth. He's obviously still friends with them, but yeah, I feel like he's just not as close with them as he is with Jason and Piper. As for Apollo, there's some great teasing that happens there, and Apollo getting very annoyed. Don't really have much more to say on that one. As for realisticness, he's a pretty realistic character. He has doubts about himself, he's kind of insecure, he uses jokes to cover up his own emotions, which is a very realistic thing for a teenager to do. And he's a very realistic person, overall. I think that he has very real emotions, and he feels like a real person. Some characters feel a little less like real people, Jason, but yeah, he's pretty realistic. I'm, if you can't tell, running out of things to say. So I'm going to move on to the comparisons. And I feel really bad because I have a feeling I know who's going to win this now. And face off against Keith in the second round. Okay. Importance to the story. I think that the winner for this one is going to have to be Hermione. She is in every single one of the books of this whole series, and she just does so much for the main character and even the other side characters. She's just very important, and while I think Leo is also the same thing, I feel like Hermione is just slightly more important to her respective story. As for relationship with the main character, again, I'm gonna have to give this one to Hermione, just because I feel like Leo has more of a relationship with the other side characters than he does with Percy or Apollo. So I'm gonna have to give this one to Hermione, who obviously has a pretty good relationship with Harry, even though Harry can sometimes overlook her. As for realisticness, I'm actually going to give this one to Leo, just barely, just because I feel like some of his emotions are very realistic, especially, like I mentioned, his use of humor to cover up his emotions and to use as a coping mechanism, and his feeling not good enough and feeling insecure, all that. I think it's just a little more realistic, and Hermione's realistic, but I feel like she'd be less relatable to a lot of people, even though she's a little more relatable to me. As for my own personal preference, I'm going to give this one to Hermione, just because, like I said, I relate to her just a little bit more than I relate to Leo, and as much as I love Leo, I feel like I love Hermione just a little bit more, and so I'm going to give this one to Hermione. So that means the winner of this round of the side character tournament is Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. And next round is Holt from Ranger's Apprentice versus Ginny Weasley from Harry Potter. Okay, well, that's the end of the actual video, but here is some quick updates about the next 4 weeks worth of videos that I will be making for each channel. So for this one, as this is the first one that happens, the first one will be Hermione Granger. Not Hermione, goodness. It'll be Holt from Ranger's Apprentice versus Ginny Weasley from Harry Potter, which is the next round of the side character tournaments. Next week after that will be Rodin from the Ascendants versus Jason from the Heroes of Olympus and the Trials of Apollo. And then the next one will be the first of the second round of the side character tournament, Lynn Song from Keeper of the Lost Cities versus Dex Disney from Keeper of the Lost Cities. And finally, the fourth video will be the next episode of the second round of the side character tournament, Annabeth Chase from Percy Jackson and Bianna Vacker from Keeper of the Lost Cities. As for Keeper of the Movies, I'm going to count this week as one of the next 4 videos since I haven't posted that one yet, but it is filmed. First one is my Ant-Man review. The next one is my Encanto review. Then my ranking of every Encanto song. And finally, The Dragon Prince Season 3, Episode 1 review. As for Keeper of the Games, at this point, it's going to be, looks like, assuming that I deleted the right videos, looks like it's all going to be Portal 2 except for one Super Mario Odyssey episode, unless I didn't delete these ones, and these are ones that I posted this week. Then it will be 2 fully Portal 2 weeks, and then 1 Portal 2 Super Mario Odyssey week, and the first 2 episodes of Breath of the Wild. But that depends on if I actually did that correctly. But anyways, that's the next 4 weeks of videos for all 3 of my channels. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.